April Fool's Day.
It is.
Is that why you're all here? Um, so it is April 1st, 2025, and I'm going to open our planning board meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So why don't we all stand for that? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So thank you all for being here this evening and for everyone who may be watching online. Before we get into today's meeting, just a few administrative things. We need to approve tonight's agenda. Jim Foster made the motion. Mike Cole seconded. Do we have a vote on that?
Aye.
Next, we need to approve the minutes of two different past meetings. The first of February 26, 2025, which was a special meeting of the planning board. Do we have a motion to approve?
If I can do them separately, I'll make a motion. I reviewed both the special and the regular meeting. I'll make a motion. We approve minutes from both.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. Vote on that, please.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Moving on to any updates from staff.
Yeah, I do have a couple updates tonight just on some development and things going on around the town. Did want to let folks know we have 2 active transportation surveys on the town website right now. If you go to millsriver.org and go to the planning page, or sorry, the news flashes at the bottom. One of them is for the draft state transportation improvement program. So again, accepting public comment on that through DOT. And then another one is through our metropolitan planning organization, the French Broad River MPO. They have an initiative called Safe Streets for Western North Carolina. Excuse me. And that link to the survey and to a description of what they're trying to do is on our webpage as well. So I'd appreciate any members of the public go there and have your input recorded. The Transportation Improvement Program survey does close on April 4th. We did see, keep it in line with NCDOT, we saw limited vegetation and tree removal for the Haywood Road widening project this week. Now, because the STIP, or State Transportation Improvement Program, it's pushed that project or the construction start date out to 2029, but DOT is trying to get ahead of it and basically released about $500,000 in funding for utility relocations and vegetation removal. So some of that cutting you've seen along Haywood Road has specifically been in the utility easement, so the utilities can come in over the next couple of years and start relocating those utilities in advance of the road widening work. So that's what you've been seeing on Haywood Road. Recently, just in the last week, the Publix shopping center site has started grading, clearing, and grubbing operations there. So you're going to start seeing more activity on that area. We have vertical construction beginning on a 36,000 square foot commercial building on Fanning Fields Road. This one's not visible. It's across from Amazon on the Fanning Fields Road extension there. It's a John Deere equipment supplier. So they're going vertical. And then Heartland Dental is the 4,000 square foot dental office at the corner of Jeffress and 280. They were supposed to be mobilized a few weeks ago, but as with all development, have hit some hiccups. And then lastly, just with everyone here, I wanted to plug our Unified Development Ordinance project. So the town has invested almost $200,000 in updating all of our development codes, including subdivision development regulations, which we'll be talking about more tonight. We'd love you all to get signed up for feedback on that, get engaged in the process. It's about year and a half long process. We've got a year and change to go through it. But again, if you go to the town website, millsriver.org, or the project website, it's imaginemillsriver.com. Please go there because, again, shaping codes that shape development for the future of town obviously is very important and impacts decisions like this. So really encourage you all to go to our website and provide whatever public input and engage to your heart's desire. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. So thank you all for being here tonight. I look forward to, and I know the board looks forward to hearing what you have to say. Just as a matter of process to kind of preview, this is the opportunity for the board to make some comment, and then we will open it up to public comment, and then we will consider the new business on our agenda, which may be why most of you are here. Before I start, does anyone else from the board want to make any comments? Okay, all right. So before we start, I'm gonna read a statement and just to kind of set some of the ground of where we are tonight with respect, again, to the subdivision, which is on our agenda. And I, want to also just remind the town, the public that is here, that everyone that sits on this board is also a member and resident of Mills River. And the reason that we sit on the planning board is because we care about this community and we care about development. And we are your advocates and your voice in that way. And I want you to know that we want to hear from you. And yet, as you will hear me say in a few moments, maybe better than I can say in my own words right now, in many respects, our position here tonight is regulated by law, and we don't have flexibility in the decisions that we may have to make tonight. So let me explain. So tonight is a regularly scheduled public meeting of the Town Planning Board where a major subdivision application will be considered. This is not a legislative public hearing where personal opinions and citizen comments can be factored into the decision-making. North Carolina state law sets a specific set of procedures and rules concerning how this board must make decisions on a major subdivision. These are ministerial decisions, and the rules are different from another kind of like zoning type decision. This is not a rezoning case. This is not a special use case. In this case, this is zoning by right and by law. Our discretion is limited. The only thing that we are allowed to consider is whether or not the proposed subdivision is in compliance with the town's subdivision ordinance. If it meets those requirements, we are bound by our oath to participate on this board to vote in favor of recommending it to town council. The board must base its decision only upon the proposed subdivision's development's compliance with the objective criteria as written in our town's subdivision ordinance. A ministerial decision cannot be influenced by contest or cannot be influenced by opinion or comment. It is a decision constrained by the standards in the Mills River Code of Ordinances. This is zoning. The zoning that allows this is by right, and the development plans submitted by the applicant have to meet both that zoning by right and the ordinances. The town of Mills River provides public notice, which I'm sure you've all seen, the yellow sign, for new major subdivisions so that you can be aware of new developments that are occurring. And this is a public meeting, so you are invited to speak as tonight as you are at any town public meeting. But state law requires our board to make a decision based on, sorry to repeat myself, whether or not the proposed subdivision meets the town's development plan, or the town's development ordinance requirements. If the applicant meets the standards, we are legally obligated to approve it. This type of ministerial land use decision does not give us any flexibility to consider unique situations and personal impacts in the decision to approve or deny it. That I say with a heavy heart. Thank you for understanding, and we look forward to hearing from your feedback. And know that while voices tonight may not be able to influence our decision, it is so important for you to express them, and more importantly, express them to your town council. We at the planning board can make recommendations on town ordinances, but we do not adopt them. The ordinances that are relevant for tonight have been in place for a long time, as is most importantly, the ability for by right, development by right. That is something that is covers most of our town. It allows development by right. So with that said, I'm gonna allow my board to say anything if they would like to share anything before we move forward.
I think Mike can present this. We'll have comments after that, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I want to make sure after.
That will
vote.
be after the public
Yeah.
comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
that'll be good.
No? Good? Okay, so we will open it up for public comment. I do have the list of everyone who signed up to speak. As you may have seen on the sign up sheet, individual comments are going to be limited to 3 minutes because of the number of people that would like to speak tonight. Cheryl Chamberlain is here, and she is kind of representing a group of neighbors, which allows her a 10-minute time spot. And she also has a presentation to make to us and to all of you. So I'm going to allow her to go first, and then I'm just going to run down the list in the order. If you decide that you don't want to speak, that's okay. You don't have to. If you want to stay on the list, and then when we're all done, if there's anyone else who wants to say something, we'll try to accommodate that too. Okay?
Microphone.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can just introduce yourself and where you live, and then you can get started.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello. I am Cheryl Chamberlain, and I live on 93 Salamia Drive in Mills River Crossing North. Go ahead and start.
Yes.
Okay.
Please. Thank you.
I wanted to tell you what I know about Mills River Crossing. I know that in our development's early stage of construction, all construction was halted due to major environmental infractions. Until then, Henderson County had environmental jurisdiction over the project. The county was going to take action on a potential violation, supposedly, and had found out that the intergovernmental agreement that could provide those services had expired. A renewal was attempted, and instead Henderson County just brought the town of Mills River the file box. The town of Mills River then took over the environmental jurisdiction of the development, and ownership of the Mills River Crossing development changed hands from one cousin to another. I, for one, would like to know how a contract which was issued to right violations could run out during the very beginning stage of the construction of a development. I was told that more violations were written to Big Hills after that time. My husband and I chose house number 3 because of the basement. I agreed because there was going to be a dog park behind the house. We closed on our house on September 29, 2020. We knew that our lot line was odd, but we didn't realize just how intrusive the closest point of that line really was until they staked our lot line the following day after we closed. We found out that nothing could have been done until the stormwater system was finished anyway, and easements were set on our property and on the common space as well. We were assured that the fence from the dog park would create a boundary line which would give the illusion of a much larger backyard. Then, as you can see, on October 29th of 2020, exactly 1 month after we closed on our property, Big Hills began construction on lot number 11. How do I move to the? Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Well, that's not important. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so there's the diagram of the development, and you can see the dog park on the bottom right. I'm in house number 3. Then you can see on October 29th of 2020, exactly 1 month after we closed on our property, Big Hills began construction on lot number 11. Our backyard became a total disaster, and we began to realize why our lot line was shaped the way it was and why we would need to wait for the time being. See photos of, oh, okay, not yet. We had no idea that there were no pipes already laid behind our house for the stormwater system before we purchased. But once we noticed them laying the pipes on September 10th, 2021, more than 11 months after we closed on our house, we understood why the ground had been such a mess for so long. This was our backyard once the construction started and it started raining. So as you can see, this on the left side is where it starts from house number 11, and then it goes down to the next photo, and then it goes down. This is our back porch. This is me from my bedroom showing right behind our back porch, and then that's where it goes into the ravine. There's no fence. If you notice that, there's a fence there, but when construction started, there was no fence. So until the pipes were getting laid, we did not know that there had not been pipes all that time that we'd been living in the house. It seemed like a bad idea to have so much flooding around a newly installed septic tank pump. Originally, when Big Hills laid the sod over the area, but they did not resod our backyard. After complaining to Paul and Vladimir and showing them pictures of our backyard, showing that it was sunken around our septic area and our yard was nothing but dirt and weeds, they needed new sod. And we needed new sod. They did bring some fill dirt to level out the area around our septic tank and lay new sod. Also in 2022, I noticed our mulch hill was pretty bare and deteriorating. Our realtor, Kevin Bendarenko, had told us when we bought our house that the mulch, which ran across multiple yards such as ours along the hill, would be maintained by the HOA to keep the mulch consistent in appearance. So in late July 22, I reached out to Vitale about what to do about our hill on the mulch, or lack thereof. On August 4th, Vitale replied, "Good afternoon, sorry for the delayed response. The landscaper should be out remulching it shortly." Also, in the summer of 2022, Art Balick had, this is the mulch around the side of our house, and this is the mulch around the back of the house. This was on 9/13. We closed on 9/30. So I just wanted to show you that we were freshly mulched before we bought the house. This was the side of the house. This was the back of the house. Now, this was a couple years later. Also in the summer of 2022, Art Balick had flags staked all around the stormwater structures in the common space behind my house to mark, sorry, I don't know where that went. Okay, well, it's this picture here, if anybody can see it. There are little flags all over the, anyway, if you don't come to see one of these, anyway, he flagged all around the mulched or the stormwater structures behind my house. And the reason why he put the little flags there to put was to put the fence for the dog park. Several of the neighboring homeowners, including myself, were present and speaking to Art about this dog park while discussing the placement of it. He stated that it could not go on the north side of the lot due to septic drainage from house number 14, and therefore would have to be on the side with the stormwater structures. Shortly thereafter, we were told we would not be getting a dog park at all. This was not only disappointing because of the anticipated dog park, but more importantly because we were not going to have the fence of a dog park giving the appearance of a border further up the common space. Many of the residents were also disappointed earlier on when we were told that we would not be getting the basketball court or the pickleball court, which was advertised on a sign in the northwest corner of the development, and now no dog park either. Mr. Melichek told me in our meeting that the reason why we didn't get anything besides a playground and a pavilion is because Big Hills didn't include any of the amenities in their plans they submitted. He said that the town of Mills River only made exception to allow Big Hills to provide the playground and pavilion. So Big Hills just got to save all that money after advertising all those amenities. We also learned that Big Hills had no intention of repaving our roads after making it clear to some residents that they had fully intended to do so. In late March, we were informed at a community meeting that Big Hills would be ready to turn Mills River Crossing over to us residents in about 6 months so we could form our own HOA. Clearly, this meant that they were going to have the stormwater system finished and proper easements placed, which meant that I could finally put a proposal together to purchase that small sliver of common space to straighten out my property line now that the construction was over. After 6 months later, I had Jason Moore at Glassby Land Surveying put together a proposal to purchase the 0.08 acre from the common space, but he could not complete the proposal because there were still no easements set on my property along the north side, nor on the common space for him to work with. After Mr. Melichek informed me that there could be an issue with me acquiring that property due to a lack of common space in our development, I had a meeting with him. Mr. Melichek was not aware until just prior to our meeting that Big Hills had sold off an entire common space within Mills River Crossing. He said that Big Hills did not ask if they could sell that common space, which was on the approved permit, nor did they inform the town that they had sold it. I had also talked to him about all the water that had been riding down from the south side of the mulch hill, destroying the slope mulch hill in my yard. I told him that I had just laid over 1,000 bags of no float mulch myself over the last few months, still getting runoff from my neighbor's side of the hill because I was at the lowest point. Mr. Melichek told me that that was not Big Hills' responsibility. However, Big Hills knew that pipes were running from my septic drainage. You can see I have septic tanks or septic tank and pump that ride up the headed west, and then they turn and they head south. That is right up my mulch hill. And those pipes run all the way to the front of the development, as you can see on the right. And then it is dumped out on the front left entrance of the property. So you come into the gate, my drainage from my septic is to the left as you come in. My house is way to the right. So it's piped all that far.
So Cheryl, we'll have to have you like.
Okay.
wrap up.
Okay. And as you can see, Art's signature is on this. When I reached out to IPM, okay, I'm just gonna, anyway, where all that drainage was coming down my hill was right on top of where my pipes are, my septic drainage pipes. And I was left to have to fix that, not knowing how to fix. And then, I responded to, so I had notified Justin that my house, I had notified Justin, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place here.
Do you think that maybe you could just kind of summarize the end for us?
Yeah,
That would be great.
yeah. So here it is. I responded to Justin, letting him know that I had been in my house for 3 years and 4 months and never had anyone told me that my hill was supposed to be grassed, not mulched. I also forwarded him an email from Vitale back in 2022 stating that the landscaper was going to remulch it shortly, as Vitale told me. Justin immediately called me to apologize for the situation because I had been griping about all that runoff right over my septic drain pipes, and I didn't know what to do about it. Also, last spring, our neighborhood landscaper, as well as our own personal landscaper, stopped mowing the weeds and the grass in the common space behind us due to not getting paid by Big Hills to do that. We had already been maintaining the grass in that area, which we intend to buy with True Green's weed control, seeding and fertilizing. And now we were paying to mow it as well. Otherwise, it would have grown right up to within 10 feet of our back porch. Daniel said that he was told to stop mowing that space. During a Zoom meeting in early January with Art and several Mills River Crossing residents, Art claimed that while the pipes would need to be changed out further west in the development where the water comes down from, but the pipes behind my property would not need to be changed out. When I questioned why the stormwater would not become a problem behind my house, he simply stated that that is not how water works. Now, I am no environmental engineer, but even I understand gravity and velocity of water. After everything is repaired, I do not want to worry about what the next thing is going to be within just yards of my back porch. And if water does work the way I think it does, it's going to be a big problem, and it could cause extensive damage to my septic or my house.
Yeah,
That's it.
thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Chair, before you have your next speaker, can I say something? Chair?
Yes.
May I
Oh,
say
yes, sorry, I could not tell where that voice was coming from. I
Sorry.
should have known it was Brian.
So with respect to everybody's time and everybody's desire for their individual story, I feel this was not representing a group. I feel this was very much an individual's 13-minute story. As much as I have compassion for that, we don't have 13 minutes for everybody here. If they can identify an actual group, it needs to be limited to 3 minutes if the rest of the board agrees with that.
I think,
Not to take away from any time.
appreciate that. Yes, I think we have a lot of voices that want to be heard tonight. So we will all try to be respectful of each other's time. Moving first on the list is Teresa Sigmund. Thank you for being here.
My name is Teresa Sigmund. I live at 456 Samuel Drive in Mills River Crossing North. I just want to make a few points, and these do relate to the statute or the ordinance, shall we say. This is the way that this subdivision was developed was in 5 phases. I've given you each a packet. If you turn to page C, Exhibit C, you can see the 5 different divisions or phases that indicated there. I live in the part Mills River Crossing North, which is 1 and 2. Mills River Crossing South is down at the bottom, phase 3. And what we're here about tonight is phase 4. If you'll look at the page in front of that, Mr. Malachek has the, to the left of phase 3 is phase 5, which is where the subdivision, the, rather the walking trail that's at issue tonight also, is proposed to be placed. Now, the problem with that is under the we're talking about the Subdivision Act. Phase 5 is no longer in Mills River Crossing subdivision. Mr. Malachek confirmed that to me as Exhibit C in an email dated March the 17th, 2025. Phase 5 Parton Green is no longer a proposed part of Mills River Crossing because they won't be developing homes on it. So how under the Subdivision Act can a walking trail on a piece of property still owned by Big Hills to be owned by Big Hills in the future? And if you'll turn to Exhibit B, they intend to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 storage buildings and make this a commercial venture over there. They've given you a pretty little map to look at today, Exhibit A, showing this walking trail on former phase 5. But if you go to Exhibit B, that's the real proposal that's down the pike. They've already filed for this. And all they've done is stick a walking trail, a path around these storage buildings. The problem is it's not in the subdivision. In fact, it's a mile from our subdivision. This is adjacent to Mills River Crossing South, but it's nowhere near Mills River Crossing North. Also, look, how are we going to access our walking trail? There's no access provided to us. So it's really a reach to say it's a walking trail for our subdivision. All of the other components of the subdivision act are required to be in a subdivision, the plantings, the erosion control, the stormwater drainage. So why would this not be? It's ludicrous to suggest that it's not. If we were talking about sidewalks here, would it satisfy the subdivision ordinance for Mills River Crossing to allow this expansion to say we're putting sidewalks in our development in Etowah? You can use those for a walking trail, or you come out there and use that for your walking trail. It's the same thing. If everything else has to be in the subdivision, why does this not? It's implied, although the word is not there, it's not there for the sidewalks either. It says it will be along a roadway, not in the subdivision, but certainly it's implied, as it is with the walking trails. So I say it violates the subdivision ordinance further. The next point is that the proposal is to tax Mills River Crossing and Mills River Crossing South by way of assessments. In fact, it's required by that ordinance for this so-called walking trail on commercial property, not in our subdivision. So how in the world is this going to work? When we as residents do not even have access, how are you going to assess us to maintain this? It's supposed to be gravel. It's going to be 5 feet wide. Would make an excellent bike, trike path, speed bike, mini bike. I can see them racing around this thing. If you open it up to the public, here they come into Mills River Crossing South, which has a gate that now is going to be breached by this walking path. But if you look at the language of the Subdivision Act, it's Exhibit J to your packet there. Common area, land or combination of land within or related to a subdivision reserved for the enjoyment of residents and their guests. How in the world can you say this is reserved for our enjoyment? Anybody who accesses those several hundred storage units can violate our walking path. And who's going to be stuck with the bill? How do we split this bill up? Who's going to be stuck with it? Mills River Crossing North, South, both of us? And why would we be? It's on commercial property. I mean, they would have you believe it's a bucolic little walking trail through the woods, but in fact, it's not. If you go further and look at, my husband has the next segment. I'm sure he'd be delighted to give me his 3 minutes. Will that work? So I could have at least another minute. If you go to the Exhibit G here, the powers of a homeowners association are enumerated in the Planned Community Act of the state of North Carolina. One of those things is they may impose and collect assessments from residents of a homeowners association for maintenance of common elements. This, by no stretch of the imagination, is a common element. You can read the definition in Exhibit J. That's under your ordinance, your subdivision ordinance violation. Also, I've got the definitions there in our covenants, and I've got the definition under the Planned Community Act. Violation of all of those does not meet the definition of any of those. So how can our subdivisions be assessed for that? So for those reasons, I move that that you deny their application and many more.
Next, I guess L. Harris, that is you. Bonnie Bradley? Okay. Oh, well, Hector is next on the list.
Thank you.
So I'm Hector Abelaris. I live on 99 Milana Drive. Just wanted to touch on a couple of things and try to keep it relevant to why we're here. Although Teresa, I think, did a tremendous job showing the statutes and everything. So as far as when we all bought this in this community, it was sold as a 50 home development. Not to say Not to mention even more that I live on the cul-de-sac, which they're gonna make into the busiest road in there. But the problem is when they advertise that and code 153-049, future development plans and master plans should be drawn and shown all short and long-term plans to the applicant. So they advertise this as a 50-home development and never shared any of these future plans, which is in violation of that code 153-049. So not good people. And they're still out, it's still online right now. You can check it. Also the traffic, right? So when you turn 49 homes into 68 homes and the 2 or 3 years of construction going through that road, it creates an unsafe environment for the families, for the dog walkers, kids and everything. But also what it does is I want to find out, did they do the traffic impact analysis that's required by section 153.009? So developers, developments that are defined as major, which upon completion will generate 75 or more peak hour vehicle trips, AM or PM, must provide a traffic impact analysis, TIA, prepared by the North Carolina Civil Engineers. The analysis must be submitted in accordance with the provisions of the town zoning code 154.116. So when you do all these things, I mean, they are not living up to what they've done. And now we're adding on more stormwater, to some of the other points. There's potential pending litigation right now because a lot of the homes have flooded because they used 18-inch drainage for the infrastructure, and it was supposed to be 36 inches according to the civil engineer drawings. So they have not even complied with the initial rules of law, and now they're going to be adding more homes behind that, which is going to cause more runoff into this community. So based off of that, I ask that you decline their ask for this.
Thank you, Hector.
Thank you.
Deborah Cassie? Kesey? Kezi.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Kazee, and I actually live in the Forge Crest subdivision. My concern is this Big Hills developer has just purchased 292 acres next to our subdivision. After listening to these people, and I was outside talking with them, there's issues with Big Hill subdivision. With that 292 acres, they're going to build 237 houses off of 280. They're going to do the same problems that they did to these poor people. So what is our town of Mills River Planning Board doing to protect these guys? And then what's going to happen up there? Now they've called us and requested permission to use our roads. We told them no, they do not have right of way through our roads. Their property goes all around us, but they have access through 280. So what are you going to do to protect us and protect these people? That's all I have. I'll give my minutes to the next person.
Thank you. Jackie Golden? Okay. Dan Field?
Good evening. My name is Dan Field. I live at 275 Daniel Circle Drive in Mills River, in the Mills River crossing south. So to build on what our neighbors across Boylston said, Mills River represents a company that does the bait and switch tactic, right? They showed us a subdivision that included more homes behind our property. However, you can clearly see that they didn't do their due diligence in the exhibits that are here, and that property was never going to be able to be developed. So now we have a walking trail that connects to our private community subdivision. And as Teresa pointed out, it's really going now around a bunch of storage units. So how does that meet the requirements of the statute and the code? Because it's mostly not even contained within our neighborhood. It connects to our neighborhood, which now you've created public access to a private subdivision. And I don't believe that that meets the requirements of the statute, nor you could consider it a gray zone, but it doesn't meet the spirit of the law, right? And you guys need to consider what meets not only the intent and what's in black and white, but when we're in these gray zones, what meets the spirit of the law and what's best for the community. So on that basis, I ask that you please deny this request.
Thank you. Marlon McGonough? Sorry if I didn't say that right.
Yeah, I'll keep my comments real brief. Let me follow up a little bit from what Dan said. I appreciate your opening comments, Lisa. I'm still going to go ahead with a 2-minute thing here on humanistic value of what's happening here. Okay, and I think it's important for everybody to understand that if they don't. And I'm not suggesting you don't, because I'm sure you do. But before we purchased our house, like Dan had said, we met with our realtor, their realtor, and members of the Big Hills group. And every time I asked them before we bought the house, what's going to happen on the agricultural field next to me, which is right next to my house now. And every time the answer was, we're going to build houses there, every time. And so I said, jokingly, I said, so no storage sheds, right? And they said, oh no, oh no. And, you know, we have that in writing. I think somebody's got it in a video. There's all kinds of proof that these people, I don't know how long they've intended that, but anyway, storage sheds. I mean, I don't know how many in here would like to buy a house next to a lot of storage sheds. Probably not that many, maybe some, but they'll destroy our neighborhood. Every time a storage door is opened or closed, I will hear it. Every time a moving van or truck opens and closes their back door, I will hear it. I'm right next to it, plus others, including Dan, up and down our street. We're going to all hear that. So peace and quiet of the neighborhood's gone. I didn't say my name is Marlon. I'm sorry, jumped right over it. But we moved from Omaha, Nebraska to enjoy the beauty, peace, and quiet of Mills River. We found it, fell in love with it right away. And this is sort of just tearing us apart right now, or at least personally, I could say it's tearing me apart. And lighting from those storage sheds at night, one of the most favorable things for me to do is to go outside and look at the stars. There's very little lighting out there. I'm going to now be looking at, I don't know how many lights from these storage sheds all over the place. And so there's no more peaceful dark. And that's important to people. I mean, it really is. And so, you know, that's gone. And so with the walking trail it's just ridiculous. Come on, guys. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so I live right where that walking trail is supposed to be going. Amongst, I mean, if you want to go out and walk and have a peaceful time exercising and enjoying outside, go look at this and I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. If the storage unit proposal is allowed to proceed, it's going to cause irreparable damage to our neighborhood. Property values are just going to plummet. It's not going to be just the ones that try to sell their house right next to it like ours. It's going to be the whole neighborhood. And, you know, we're kind of locked in with the north side as well in several similar issues with water drainage and other things. But I just ask, please consider denying the storage units in the trail proposal, please. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Jack Andes?
Yeah.
Hi, Jack.
So I don't live at Mills River Crossings. We live on the north side of the new proposed area, 3 lots. Biggest challenge are the setbacks going to be exactly what they're going to be? Our septic system is fairly close to the line. So just need to make sure that that's taken into account. We live uphill, so water comes off of our property onto that property. And I didn't bring a PowerPoint, but a lot of water at times comes down through those properties. And there's a very small stormwater easement shown on this plan, which I assume is what it is. It's the one that we were sent. So, we don't want any water backed up into our pasture. So we have pasture that abuts this. Well, we also have a house and a barn, but we want to make sure that water doesn't back up onto our pasture. Now it flows freely from it through the pasture. We have a little pond, stormwater pond that holds water for a while. Anyway, want to make sure that water doesn't back up, that it's planned for, I don't know that it has to be planned for Helene, but it sure needs to be planned for at least 2004 flood. Right? And if that amount of water is not planned for, then we're not doing our job as Mills River residents and the Planning Commission. So I just ask that we think about all the lessons we've learned in the last 20 years about water going downhill and setbacks, and where our present septic lines are above where one of the lots are.
Thank you.
All right.
Stuart? You're welcome.
We're new to North Carolina, so I have to talk Scottsdale, Arizona talk.
No,
Okay.
no. Can you just say your name?
My name is Stuart Morick. I live in 650 Daniel Circle Drive, and it's in the South Mills River South. Just this may be opinion. I don't know the laws of North Carolina. I do know the laws of Scottsdale somewhat. We looked for a gated private community. We didn't look at the zoning. We were told it was gated, private, and community. When you build that little ramp over, it now becomes public. Okay, so it's not gated. I don't know if it had to be zoned or not. I know in Arizona, it does have to be zoned. We assumed it was. Bad assumption, maybe. Also, as an accountant, I want to know who is going to be responsible for maintaining, since it potentially could be public, who's responsible for maintaining the wear and tear on all of our equipment in our park where the circle goes for their walking path. We have a dog park there as well. We have a gazebo with a gas grill and fireplace. Who's responsible for that? Surely not the HOA, because we didn't sign up for that. Also, who's responsible for changing broken material, broken slides, broken this? Okay, who's responsible for cutting the grass now that it's public? Okay, who's paying the tax on that land? Okay, who's doing all that? We heard that the HOA, meaning us, are going to be responsible for that. We didn't sign up for that. We signed up for our own community to use it. What about the liability if somebody gets, God forbid, gets hurt? Okay, who has that responsibility? Who pays that insurance? Okay, so all these things, I don't know if there are laws here or not, but basically I know that when we have a public ground in Arizona, somebody's got to be responsible for that. Somebody's got to take charge of that. We did not sign up for that, unfortunately, or fortunately, we didn't sign up for that. We signed up for a small gated community we assumed to be zoned. Okay, I love this town. We came here because it was a great city. I'm trying to learn your language, y'all. Okay, okay, but I'll get there eventually. But I'm going to give up some of my time to somebody else. But I don't know the laws, but those laws just really get to me when you open up a private area to a public domain. Who's responsible for taxes, maintenance, service, everything else associated with it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. Christine?
Good evening. My name is Andrew Goldstein. I'm in 627 Daniel Circle Drive in Mills River Crossing South. And based on everything that's been said so far, I'm just going to sort of echo a few points that seemed most germane to me. You've heard both more technical, points made around statutes, and I have a lot of respect for those of you who have done the research to really dig into that. You've heard more humanistic appeals, which I think are relevant in that, there is some intersection between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. I do think that's true. And the few points I would just make, again, in echoing some of the things you've heard. One is, the idea that a walking trail would circle a field of commercial storage units. I think, you took the word out of my mouth. It's ludicrous to expect that that is fitting or, appropriate. And, as raised, worse yet, the idea that it would infringe directly and be connected directly inside the neighborhood at Mills River Crossing South. I don't think there's any confusion at this point about the point of view of this room, but if there's any confusion about whether that's, considered beneficial to us, let me assure you that it is not. As Stuart mentioned, we have a small, tight-knit community, and the idea that a walkway directly coming in from a commercial parking lot into our neighborhood would somehow make our lives better couldn't be further from the truth. And it poses very obvious safety and privacy. Again, as Stu mentioned, plenty of legal questions as well that I think we all find very unsettling. And I think, bigger picture, of course, we all know that this proposal runs in direct conflict with the broader goal of preserving a rural residential area. My wife and I, in moving here, we read the community's own words, the mission to protect and enhance the rural small town character of Mills River. And so, having heard your comments, Lisa, at the start, and thank you for your candor, I would just ask, implore you that you please use every available tool and every bit of any way you can cut it, to limit the proposal and sort of what is honestly a betrayal of the good faith commitments that were made in selling homes in both communities for years, with the promise of what that land would be used for. And I do think, again, I'm not quite able to quote the statutes, but this does present a significant change to the plans that have been shown for years. And I think that that must represent an issue in some way that you might be able to better recognize. And again, just ask that you please, act on the concerns. I do trust that you're advocates for the community, having, a place in it yourself, of course. And, just looking out for the individual communities, for the surrounding areas, and again, for the vision of the community as a whole. So I'll echo my neighbors and ask you please to, use any mechanisms available to you to refuse what is a very unwelcome and unwanted commercial intrusion that's been proposed. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Tom, I don't know. Oh, this is Tom and Susan. Hi, Hay. Okay, thank you. Oh, maybe it was just, that's okay. Alan Barodi? Okay, Jessica Lucas, I'm sorry. It's okay, and I'm looking at a Xerox, I think, so, I see it now, it's a C.
I will preface this with, I am a very nervous public speaker. So, sorry, my name is Jessica Lucas. I'm at 301 Daniel Circle Drive in Mills River Crossing South. very nervous public speaker. So this may seem chaotic, I'm sorry, but this is really, really important to me. And this may be chaotic. I did want to start by thanking the town. We have lived in had the pleasure of living in Mills River for 3 years. It is evident what all of the thoughtfulness that goes into the town planning. The community is just amazing. So thank you for your hands in that. We are proud to live here and contribute to the way of life in Mills River. I'm a military child. My dad was 25 years in the Navy. I've lived all over the US. I've seen all kinds of communities. I've lived in major cities. I grew up finally in a small town after he retired. My husband and I have worked really hard to afford the home that we own in Mills River Crossing South. That was not given to us. We have worked for it. The luxury of living in a community like ours. We moved here. We were in DC for 15 years. We were in a major city in California for 5. We finally, after COVID, had the opportunity to choose where we wanted to live, and we wanted to bring our kids back to a small town. We really wanted them to grow up in a small area. We moved here for safety, beauty, and to contribute to this amazing town. I am personally very involved in this community. I'm a Girl Scout leader for girls in Mills River. I'm the president of the PTO for Mills River Elementary. My husband is a Scout leader. We are involved in this community. We care about it, and we care about mostly the children in this community. Obviously, we have kids that are elementary age. So we are one of the people that would be mostly affected by this. Like a couple of my other neighbors have talked about, my house backs up. The back of my house faces Boylston. So we face that creek that would be right where the storage units would be going in. We moved here based on like what everyone else was talking about, the promise that that would be a community. That, you know, that would be a further subdivision. Now, if this walking trail goes in, storage units, I'm in the same position that I was before I moved here, which is my kids can't play in their yard. You know, that's why we moved here, so that my kids could be finally in a place where they can run up the street to a neighbor's house. You know, like we have never been able to do that before. So now seeing this, that there's walking trails and there's storage units, that means my kids can't play outside because the public has access to my yard. So this is just going to be emotional. I completely support all of the research, like one of my other neighbors said, the research that's been done on the legalities of this and the statutes. I appreciate that. I am not as well researched in that, but I just want you to know how this isn't. Oh, I also wanted to say, I get that we're newcomers, you know, I get that. There's a lot of allegiance to this community from longtime residents, and I get that, and I appreciate that. But I also wanted to say that, you know, some of us are generations of Mills River. I know that from my own neighborhood. Some of us are new here, but we're also familiar faces that you'll see in your community. We're doctors, teachers, community leaders, parents. We serve this community, and we believe in what's right. Again, it's ludicrous. It just seems, I mean, and then in addition to all of the ways that Big Hills has wronged each and every one of the residents in this room. I mean, we all have a 13+ minute story. They have no integrity in my opinion, and that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Ryan Baker.
I didn't know this was like presentations. My name's Ryan Baker. I live at 129 Angelina Lane. That's also lot number 42. I probably get the brunt of all the bad drainage. Back in July of 2024, I became aware that there was a drainage issue on my property when I waded through 3 feet of water to get to my crawl space. After investigating it, I found out that I have a non-permitted storm drain on my property. I have one storm drain that is supposed to have a 36-inch pipe that has an 8-10-inch pipe. And the stormwater from 6 lots above me totally bypasses the stormwater containment area and pumps directly into my backyard. So with a 9-day-old baby, I found out that I bought lakefront property with a water feature. So I'm here today. Basically, everybody's going to call for you to stop them. I just want you to pause it until they fix the problems they've already caused. They've known about this. Mills River has known about this. Henderson County has known about this since 2021. Why is it 2025 and they still haven't fixed it?
Stuart Grant.
My name is Stuart DeGraff. I live at 411 Daniel Circle Drive in Mills River South, Crossing South. My wife and I moved down here from Maryland and bought the house at the end of 2022. And at that time, Big Hills was advertising, this is the community where we are and I live here. And this area that we're discussing was supposed to be additional housing development. My wife and I repeatedly asked Daniel Gaga, is that going to happen? Oddly, the lots numbered in here, the early numbers are in that area as if that's where they were going to start. In any event, he assured us repeatedly that there was no problem. This would not be commercial. We specifically asked about storage units because we have some storage units already. I'm not sure why we need more up the road. In any event, it strikes me that this is false advertising, bait and switch. We came here because we like the rural community of Mills River. It's beautiful, beautiful mountain views from our deck. It's not going to be so beautiful when it's storage units and all the lights, as I think it was Marlon said. It's going to be noisy. The public access is going to provide places for people to come in, park their cars. Who knows? I mean, you know, it's not all going to be the best elements coming in, and who knows what people can do getting access to our property that's supposed to be gated and private. It really seems to me like it's a violation of what we were told when we were buying the house, and I think everyone here feels that way. I don't know if there's anything you can do about it. I would implore you and plead with you to try to do that. But I don't know if there's any legal recourse that we can take against Big Hills, but we would not have bought the house here if we'd known it was going to be storage units. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Howard?
I'm Mandy Helwig and I live at 398 Daniel Circle Drive. And not to belabor points here, though I agree with all of them. Oh, sorry. Is that better? I just wanted to make one point. I know in the Big Hills proposal, they reference their plan aligning with the vision of the Making Mills River 2040 comprehensive plan. And I know that based on the goals outlined in that plan, Mills River had engaged last year in a rural residential rezoning effort to preserve the small town character of our area. And our neighborhood and the abutting land were encompassed within the area proposed to be rezoned. I recognize this effort's been tabled based on developments in state law, but I would note that the town seemingly envisioned a different development and preservation plan for the area moving forward. So I recognize there are legal constraints at issue. I'm an attorney, but I would similarly request that a broader perspective and the intent and spirit behind the various plans and laws is considered. So thank you.
Yep, that was you. That was you. You were the last one to sign up.
I'm going to build on what Teresa did. She did a good job talking about the ordinances, and I'm going to focus on the walking trail that's proposed. And the way I understand it is, given the size of the neighborhood, there's some requirement to put sidewalks in or the like. However, while maybe we are technically one neighborhood, there's a 5-lane, 55-mile-an-hour road, Boylston Highway, that separates us, and we each have a county road to go to it. You do not walk from one neighborhood to the other. There's gates in these neighborhoods. You do not go into each other's neighborhoods. They are maybe technically 100 unit of homes, but they're not. We have 40 odd units. They're separate entirely. Today in our neighborhood, people walk around all the time. We walk the neighborhood, we meet our neighbors, we have a park we can walk through. We have plenty of walking access. Adding a walking trail outside of our neighborhood doesn't help that at all. In fact, you've given public access so anyone can go down Boylston Highway, park their car, 3 a.m., bring your 6-pack of beer with your buddies and go back behind the storage units and have a good old time. No one will see you except for the neighbors that are right behind it. We don't need it. And you want us to maintain the cost of that trail as well. Why? I think there's an option. If the real issue is the ordinance says you have to put in a walking trail because of the subdivision being one, waive it. You'll save Big Hills money. You'll save us money for the long term trying to maintain something we don't want or need. And then you can build the houses across the way, barring what everyone else has to say about it. But if you're tying too many things together, we are not one neighborhood. We are separate. We are forcing a cost upon us. You're opening risk to us to the public access. My proposal is if you really want to go ahead with the other stuff, waive this requirement. Don't burden us with the cost and put us walking outside of our neighborhood. We walk inside our neighborhood, right? If we want to walk outside a neighborhood, we'll drive down to this nice Mills River Trail. We'll walk here, right? My point.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, please. I think there might be, I saw a couple hands. You want to go last? Okay. Anyone else like to come up to the podium, please?
Good evening. I'm Mitchell Shulman. I live at 68 Angelina Lane in Mills River Crossing North. And I'll limit it to one topic. We have private road in our neighborhood as part of being a gated community. And if you allow this expansion, it won't be a gated community anymore because during the day, that gate's going to be left open for however long the construction period will be to finish these 19 homes. So who's going to pay the gate company for the 2 years it's left open? We won't get that service. We won't have a gated or private neighborhood like we bought into and are paying for. And you're going to have all the construction workers coming in through our neighborhood on our roads. Our roads are in need of repair and resurfacing now. Big Hills originally promised us that once the construction was finished in our neighborhood, they would repair those roads and resurface them, and has refused to do so. Now they're going to come in and they're going to tear it up more with construction. And when they leave, who's going to be responsible for all that? So, I mean, again, it's just another example of how a lot of the burden for the costs associated with putting this expansion in is falling on the neighbors and the neighborhoods instead of on the developer where it belongs. And it's just another example of how, in bad faith, Big Hills has been treating the homeowners who've bought homes from them in both of those neighborhoods. And that's not going to stop with 19 more families who move into this new neighborhood. I mean, if you approve this, all you're doing is screwing around 19 more families who don't need to be treated that way. Thank you.
Wanna comment tonight? Yes, please come up. And since, yeah, we don't have you on the sign up sheet, just please say your name.
Hi,
Hello.
Mary Ann Van Wingerden. One point that nobody has made is that, like they've said, everybody's said it about the promised other neighborhood, not that we really wanted that, but that is what they said we were going to have. Their perk tests wouldn't work, right? So they couldn't put those other homes, which is fine. But now they want to make up for the loss of that, whatever that income is. So, well, let's think of something else to plop there, something that's commercial. And I don't know the laws or whatever. It doesn't even make any sense that you'd have something commercial, but let's have the private trail. I mean, none of it fits, none of it goes. It was something that they should have done the perk test a long time ago, and they did not. And so we don't want to suffer for it and have our neighborhood ruined. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sue Holzer. I'm at 306 Daniel Circle Drive. I really don't need this because this is something that everybody needs to hear. Everybody here will go on and on and on about these issues. A big concern that I see, and Jessica, you made a big topic on that. How many times have you seen storage facilities with vandalism, homeless individuals, danger for our kids that are right behind this road? And I don't have children, but I see these wonderful children in our neighborhood playing with each other, going around our circle. What happens then? Think about what happens when a storage facility comes in into Marlin's. We all love Mills River, but I can see now, I didn't even think about the lights in your backyard because that'll just bounce off your house to our house across the street. So listen to what we say, because we're not going to stop here. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Travis Rocky and I live at 40 Angeline Lane. I've got a number of points and I already submitted a sheet to you folks, but there's one point that a lot of people have missed, and that is that there's a business called Clean Streak. Do you know where that is? It's right across from the entrance to Mills River North. It caught fire. They had a fire there. We approached wanting to go home and were turned away by the policeman for 2.5 hours. Okay. Now, the majority of people that live in Mills River North are over 60 years old. Safety is really important. With one entrance and one exit, people will die if you folks don't do what you should do. And you not only reject this 19 homes, because that will add to the problem, but force Big Hills to put in another way to get safe there. This is really, you should be doing a job and looking at this. You've never approved it with only one entrance and one exit. It's just not safe.
Someone over here? Sure. Yes, thanks.
I want to first, my name's Kenton Lawson. I live at 438 Daniel Circle Drive. My wife and I, we've been residents of Henderson County for 20-some years, and Mills River for about 15. And I want to thank you for what you do. And I think it's awesome that everybody's here today voicing their opinion. It just shows that we all care. Okay. My concern is to not echo what everybody else says. It's just, let's start with the storage units. I don't know that that preserves the integrity that we want for Mills River. I could just imagine the lights and the noise and things like that. But then the walking trails is a whole nother issue. And if this is a workaround for Big Hills to be able to do the development they need, then I think that we need to look at that deeper. Why are they wanting to do a walking trail? Is it just a way of adding more homes or getting through some loophole in legislation or law to allow that to happen? The other thing I ask for the committee to consider about Big Hills, we have a beautiful home, and I thank Big Hills for building it. But if you would ask all the homeowners that have built with Big Hills, I think each one of them would have some type of gripe, if not lots of gripes, about not necessarily the construction, but their follow through with their intentions that they sold us. Okay. The two developments together is about 100 homes, and they have other plans to build other homes, and that's going to have a huge impact on Mills River. And if they can't come through and finish the first development that they started in 2000, then why are we letting them build more homes? They should have already paved their roads a long time ago. they had been pushing back finishing our development with paving and gated community. So they approached Mills River in a way to say, we have this great plan, and this is the permits or what we're going to pull and how, but they're not finishing the projects. So I ask you or the Mills River community to hold this company accountable for finishing the work that they set out to fill. Thank you.
Yes, please.
My name's Linda Britton, and I live at 100 Old Turnpike Road. I'm not directly impacted by what's going on here, but I'm a citizen of the town of Mills River and have lived here for 50 years and lived in Horseshoe before that. So I've got a lot invested in this town. But I want to remind folks here this evening that this committee has to do what the law says they have to do, whether we like it, whether you like it or not. If all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and everything is according to what is laid out in our current ordinances and laws. Their recommendation, even if they in their hearts don't want to do it, puts it to the town council. That is who you need to talk to. They meet the second and fourth Tuesday of every Thursday, second and fourth Thursday, excuse me, of every month, 6:30 in this room. They're the ones who make the final decision, yay or nay, whether this proposal goes forward. These folks have to do what they have to do because their hands are tied. The councils are not. So keep that in mind. Whatever happens this evening, the town council is who you need to approach.
Thank you, Linda. I know we have someone who wants to be last, so I just want to make sure. Okay. Do you want to go after those?
Yeah.
Okay. So should anyone else here before we get to the public comments that are on email? Okay. So let's turn to those and then we'll have our last speaker and then I think we'll take a break before the meeting continues.
This public comment is from Travis Rocky. Big Hills does not do what they say they will do. In July and again in September 24, the storm drains could not handle the amount of rainwater that backed up into the yards on Samuel and Angelina. The Bakers suffered the most damage. They have documentation that Big Hills did not install drainage infrastructure that was specified on the engineering plans. It's my understanding 18-inch pipe was installed instead of 36-inch pipe. Big Hills says they are going to replace the drain they were supposed to install correctly. Big Hills promised in writing to several homeowners to repave all the roads in Mills River North when construction was completed for the 49 homes currently standing. The roads are cracking and crumbling now, even before the construction of 19 additional homes. Big Hills says a representative of their company who promised to repave the roads is no longer with the company. Imagine what they will be like after Big Hills says they are finished with the proposed 19 homes. 4 years ago, Big Hills on their marketing brochure said they were going to build 2 dog runs in Mills River North as part of their quote unquote sales pitch to entice people to buy homes originally. To date, they have not done it. How can the planning board be sure Big Hills will do what they say? What about those homeowners who were sold homes by Big Hills based on living on a cul-de-sac where there was peace and quiet for their families? They will be living on a thoroughfare that is unsafe for their family, dusty and noisy. Cul-de-sacs generally have houses sold at a 20% premium, according to a Realtor.com article, which was attached. Going further, Big Hills has not given a financial accounting of community members' dues. Big Hills controls 100% of the HOA even after 4 years. No member of the community is on the board with the exception of a homeowner who is also an employee of Big Hills. Has input into the decisions or financial accounting of the dues of approximately $44,000 per year. Additionally, given that Mills River Crossing North has to be completed for 3 years, Big Hills collected funds from residents prior to completion with the total collected likely exceeding $150,000. The HOA board / Big Hills hired IPM Associates, an HOA condominium management company, to manage the HOA without any input from the community. With the exception of one email, there have not been any HOA meetings by IPM where the community's voices were heard. Is the planning board requiring Big Hills to post a completion bond? Given the economy is teetering on a recession, does the town of Mills River and Mills River North residents want a partially completed construction site and open gates for years because of economic conditions that may prevent completion? Has the planning board or town fathers given consideration to the 69 homes, 49 current plus 19 additional, and what would happen in the event of an emergency in Mills River North when there was only one entrance exit? In 2024, a business known as the Business Clean Streak located across the entrance from Mills River North had a fire that blocked the entrance exit to Mills River North for several hours. Fire trucks, the sheriff, and emergency vehicles were called to fight the fire and clean up. Residents were prevented from getting to their homes and were threatened with arrest by a fireman if they tried to get to their property. An ambulance or fire truck trying to get into Mills River North would have been unable to help a resident in distress. The average age for current residents is over 60. There's a very real possibility they will need emergency vehicles in the future. Are residents supposed to leave the gates open while contractors come and go for 3 or 4 years? We bought homes in Mills River North because it was a gated community near completion. Is Big Hills indemnifying the homeowners against crime that may take place? Are the contractors and their employees given background checks so we have some confidence that crime will not be committed during the construction phase if the gates left open? Has the planning board or town fathers given any consideration to the traffic that will pass down Milana or Samuel? Consider the proposed 19 homes have a minimum of 2 cars per household. 19 times 2 equals 38 cars per day, using only 1 round trip per car. Many folks make more than 1 round trip to pick up kids at school, the doctor, etc. And those that already use Milana and Samuel, there are approximately 24 homes on Samuel and Milana that exit Samuel in the area of Milana and Samuel. 24 homes times 2 trips equals 48 round trips using only 1 round trip per car. Added service vehicles such as air conditioning, electricians, painters, etc. that use Samuel and Milana for the existing houses, this would likely add approximately 10 round trips, or 10 times 20 equals 20 trips. Add construction crews from the 19 homes for 2 to 3 years, which may add at least 10 vehicles times 2, 20 round trips at a minimum. Total is 126 cars and trucks, including cement mixers, crane trucks, pickup trucks, electricians, HVAC technicians, drywall, landscaping, etc. on a 2-lane road with kids playing. What could go wrong? Rumor has it the walking trail proposed for both subdivisions, Mills River North and South, is around a planned storage facility. How many of the Mills River North residents will get in their car so they can drive a mile to get to it across busy Highway 280 to go walking? In summary, Big Hills does not do what they say they will do. Big Hills has not given a financial accounting for 4 years for the nearly $150,000 they have collected from the community. Big Hills planned housing would create even more unsafe conditions for emergency vehicles for the residents of Mills River North. Big Hills planned housing would create even more traffic congestion for residents of Mills River North. Please reject Big Hills' plan to build 19 homes more.
This is from John and Kathleen Clark, 74 Milana Drive. Mr. Malachek, would you ensure the other members of the planning board receive a copy of this email, excuse me, to consider? We are unfortunately out of town and unable to attend the planning meeting on the subject issue. We do oppose the application to add 19 houses to Mills River Crossing North and submit the following to explain our thoughts on the matter. In order to comply with the town ordinances, Big Hills is proposing a walking trail starting in Mills River Crossing South and extending behind that development. There are no guidelines in the Mills River codes for walking trails. We would hope, however, that logic and reason would apply when assessing this requirement. While it is understood that Big Hills wants to expand the Mills River Crossing subdivision, they failed to properly design the initial subdivisions in order to allow for that expansion. Big Hills already ascertained that going back and putting in sidewalks is not feasible and is now proposing the walking trail. As it is currently proposed, the walking trail would be across the Boylston Highway from the north. The vast majority of homeowners in the entirety of Mills River Crossing subdivision would be located across the Boylston from the trail. The homeowners in north would have to cross a 4-lane highway that would go through the gate at south in order to access the trail. It is probable that most people would drive over, which means south would have to deal with the extra traffic as well as parked cars in their subdivision. How is this reasonable for any of the homeowners? Also, there is a proposal for a storage facility built inside the boundaries of the walking trail. Should that come to fruition, will the owner of the facility allow homeowners of North to park there in order to use the trail? Will they provide security for the homeowners using the trail since the vast portion of the trail would be outside the boundaries of either subdivision? And taking it as a given that the purpose of the sidewalk/trail requirement is for the safety of the homeowner, the question arises as to how the proposed location of the walking trail resolves the safety issue. The homeowners in North will still have nowhere to easily accessible other than streets we already use to walk our dogs, take our walks for our children to play. With the added 19 homes, this creates a safety issue we are presumably trying to avoid with a walking trail. Big Hills fails to properly design or consider requirements or codes of the areas in which it seeks to build. Instead, they leave homeowners to deal with the problem Big Hills themselves create. Another example is their own CC&R for Mills River Crossing subdivision. Article 3 states that all lots are exclusively to be used for residential purposes, yet Lot 30 is what they are using for road access and what they call Phase 4. For the reasons stated above, we oppose the addition of 19 homes to the North subdivision.
This letter is from Susan McGuff at 337 Daniel Circle Drive. Dear officials, your time and focused efforts are invaluable in making Mills River an even more livable community for all of us. Thank you. This letter shares my insights with you, but also echoes thoughts of many owners of our 44 homes here in Mills River Crossing South. Seldom have I experienced such an unifying and alarming community concern as the proposal for a trail and storage unit development alongside Bolston Highway and our subdivision. The shock intensified since current houses were sold while the developer's agents verbalized and displayed marketing materials that this land would be developed as similar value individual homes. The immediate proposal, I am told, relates to the proposed trail. The livability goals of city ordinances which require defined walking paths within subdivisions of specified sizes are admirable. I support our ordinance, which is based on a deep understanding of the positive community gains and safety of neighbors knowing neighbors. The neighborness is facilitated by ready access to safe walking paths within housing subdivisions. This proposal is disturbing. First, the proposed trail requires most homeowners to get in their car, drive down a busy highway to a previous agriculture field, and walk on an isolated trail through an overgrown weeds. This does not move any quality of life needle towards achieving the town's community goals and rationale as supported with our ordinance. Second, the proposed public accessible and unattainable path connects to the park sold to Mills River Crossing South residents as their private gated community park. Our required homeowner association dues pay for the maintenance and upkeep of this small park, even though we are not allowed to a homeowner's representative on the current HOA board. A public unsecured trail running along the backyards of our homes and into our neighborhood increases security risks to the safe enjoyment of our homes, yards, street, and park. The proposed trail would diminish the current minimal advancement of the outcomes desired in the city ordinances for designated walking paths within neighborhoods due to increased risk and security concerns. Third, it is impossible to exclude the overall plan for development at this location while considering the trail proposal. The proposed trail would run immediately behind the outer walls of unfenced storage units. A secluded trail along the backside of unfenced storage units in a once agricultural field now filled with weeds that is not safe, physiologically beneficial, nor compliant with the intents of the relevant town ordinances. Fourth, the overall plan indicates multiple entrances from this location to Bolston Highway. Trees and berms which currently abate noise from the highway will be destroyed to create these entrances. Please evaluate the highway safety impacts of additional entrances. To me, this proposal feels like a slap across my face, and I'm not even a planning board member. Please recommend denial of this trail proposal and advocate for a proposal which meets the advances of traditional intentions of the subdivision walking path ordinance. Please allow and consider public inputs to any future proposed storage units or commercial development at this location. Thank you for reading this letter and for making Mills River a special place to live. If I may assist in any community-focused effort to develop alternatives to the proposal, please do not hesitate to call. Sincerely, Susan.
Next one I have is from Jeff Stingle on, Jeff and Susan Stingle on Milana Drive. Michael, by request, please forward to members of the Mills River Planning Board. Unfortunately, due to work requirements of travel, I will be unable to attend the meeting to discuss expansion of Mills River Crossing community. We want to let you know that we want to express our strong opposition to this plan. It appears that there have been so many short-sighted plans or decisions made in this process. We also have a strong feeling that there may have been many shortcuts in the process as well. If I'm not mistaken, even any mailed notification of this meeting and decisions have not been followed. Regardless of that fact, the following are some strong concerns and maybe even with legal impact. 1, we have been told that a study of the impact shows it is unsafe to have an entrance exit on Boylston Highway for the 19 homes. Question, if this was completed and showed 19 would be a problem, how does the same study show that it will be okay for the potential 200 homes, rough estimate, or storage units at or near the same location? 2, Milana Drive, which we live on, was not built to handle another 19 homes and the travel associated. Most of us purchased on Milana due to the cul-de-sac, which violates several items within the covenants. As Mills River Planning Board members, your team should stand up for the residents. All lots were required to be homes, and this lot cannot be used as a pass-through. 3, the timing is very suspicious. Per the covenants, the threshold of the homes sold and occupied to control the HOA occurred before this new land purchase, so their actions are illegal. If this goes through, then your team supports the illegality. They illegally delayed this HOA action so that they could attempt to control the changes without HOA approval. 4, we have strong concerns about the drainage system within the current community. To be clear, we have had these issues with our own home, and fortunately, some of these have been repaired. Any further requests have gone unanswered, and we are now exploring legal action against Big Hills Construction. 5, we understand there have been concessions to walking trails, sidewalks, or other community planning requirements. We question how a walking trail a mile from our house, a car ride away, fits this requirement, but appears to appease Big Hills. We also now understand that this walking trail area is not actually going to be part of Mills River Crossing, but a storage unit facility. We would like to understand how this makes any sense. In addition, it is now understood that Big Hills will utilize the HOA dues to maintain this area, so their commercial property will be maintained by the residential properties with no financial gain. How does this fit any requirement under the Mills River planning requirements? 6, we want to make one final point. We understand that Mills River Planning Board has a job to do to build the community in an appropriate way. That is different for everyone. As a 5-year resident of Mills River and a nearly 30-year resident of Asheville, we get that changes happen. Our issue is not necessarily the homes, but the process, the entrance, and the fact that Big Hills is doing poorly on taking care of current purchasers of their homes. We are not fans of the false advertising, 50-home community, as well as other facts. Michael, in closing, we again want to express our opposition to this moving forward, quote unquote, as is. There are changes that need to be made at a minimum and total rejection under the current format at maximum. We appreciate your consideration and apologize for not being able to attend in person. We look forward to hearing the outcome. Sincerely, Jeff and Susan Stingle. And then the last one I have, David Smith and Chrisan Davis, 363 Samuel Drive. Dear sir, we are residents of Mills River Crossing North and have been advised to forward you and the planning board written correspondence outlining our issues and concerns for the proposed development of an additional 19 homes on property adjacent to Mills River Crossing North owned by Big Hills Construction. 1, sidewalks versus walking trails for the proposed plan. We understand that Big Hills has opted to build a walking trail on the south side of Highway 280 around some proposed storage buildings. We are opposed to this option and favor sidewalks in the Mills River Crossing communities. The majority of residents also favor sidewalks. The walking trail concept poses some serious safety issues for access to the trails by the residents of the current 46 Mills River Crossing North homes, in addition to the other proposed 19 home residents. Access to the proposed trail site would be to cross the 4-lane highway on foot. Dangerous to say the least, especially when many young families walk with strollers and small children. Instead of taking a walk on a sidewalk in their immediate community, they would have to cross Highway 280, most probably after loading the children in the car. It defeats the whole purpose of walking in your own community. Perhaps an alternative for access would be having Big Hills build a pedestrian bridge over Highway 280. Comments Common sense needs to prevail, and serious consideration is a must for the health and welfare of the residents of Mills River Crossing North. 2, without sidewalks in Mills River Crossing North, the issue of safety is elevated as construction traffic will increase, resulting in sharing narrow residential streets with pedestrian traffic. 3, another safety issue is limited space between the gate entrance to Mills River Crossing North and Old Turnpike Road. One large dump truck would barely fit in front of a closed gate. This poses a safety issue for residents attempting to enter their community. An alternate construction entrance needs to be incorporated in the plan to minimize dangers to residential traffic and pedestrians. Perhaps Big Hills could build a construction traffic access through the proposed commercial development property. This would increase the safety of residents and would minimize damage to the residential road network. 4, the issue of a separate access to Highway 280 should be reconsidered. Mills River South community has 2 entrances. This 2-entrance concept facilitates better access for emergency vehicles. It would also promote rapid exit capability in case of a natural disaster such as a wildfire. Many curb cuts have been made to accommodate businesses, churches, and a new fire station. Development along Highway 280 westbound will most likely continue, in petitioning the state to reduce the speed from the junction with Highway 191 to Ray Hill Road would certainly enhance travel safety. Another option would be for Big Hills to build a U-turn similar to the one on Highway 280 just east of the I-26 interchange. We would also like to inform the planning board that Big Hills Construction did not build the stormwater drainage to the engineering plan specifications for Mills River Crossing North. Of note, the plan required 36-inch drain pipes in certain locations. 18-inch pipes were actually installed. The storm drain backed up in July and September 2024, causing damage to several homes. There is consistent pooling of water on Angelina Drive. This is just one example of not following building codes. In conclusion, common sense must be considered in conjunction with community planning and existing codes. Sincerely, David Smith, Chrisan Davis, 363 Samuel Drive.
Thank you.
That's all we have.
Okay, thank you. I thought there was a new hand. I believe we've heard from you already. No. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not wearing my glasses. They're right here. Please come up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My name's Bob Huffine. I live at 124 Angelina Lane in Mills River North, and I'm sure what I'm going to say applies to all of this. You're mandated to approve something that meets all the codes and meets all the rules within the Mills River. You're also mandated to form an opinion that you pass on to the city council. It's kind of been one-sided which direction everybody's on, so you should be able to form an opinion based on this. And if you approve something, then if City of Mills River through every process approves something, don't they also have a requirement to enforce what they approve? Like Mills River North, there are all kinds of issues about the drainage. It was never done by what was approved or what was documented. Why is that not enforced by Mills River? That's all I'm going to say. Just if you approve it, enforce it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
Hi, my name is Robert Patalo. I live at 833 Daniel Circle Drive. Just to give you some information how Big Hills Construction has been going on with me. When I bought my house, I was told that the land behind me was septic tanks. The land to the left of that was not going to be used to build anything. One morning, I yell at my wife, "What's going on?" They're over there tearing trees down and building 2 other houses there. Before this was even done, I offered to buy that lot. And they asked me, "What are you going to do with it?" I said, "I'm going to leave it there with trees. That's it. I'm not going to do anything." As far as Big Hills doing anything to my home, they haven't. I've had so many flood problems, sinkholes, that is ridiculous, like we all know. Eventually, somewhere along the line, people from Mills River are going to get involved because of this flooding. I sit there on my house and I see that little creek going by up to our mailboxes. Well, your next step is my house. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars to protect my house from being flooded. And calling Danny up, showing him pictures that I got a river coming down my lawn. You build a house across the street. I got water coming down here. Now you want to build a storage area where I come out my front door, even though I'm not right next to the storage area. I come out my front door and I see a storage area. Then you want people walking around my house. We came here from Naples, Florida, because my wife wanted to be in cooler weather. Damn, I wish I would have stayed in Naples. I'm not mad at her because she's been really great. But anyway, yeah. So I bought an RV and went back to Florida for 3 months, but they have not done anything. In 2 years, I don't even know why they're still building, to be honest with you. It's ridiculous to have. I wouldn't let them build an outhouse for me right now. Nothing they have promised me, they have done. It's just like I said, if I told you the amount of money I spent just so my basement wouldn't get flooded, and the lies he told me that my house was waterproofed around there, so I grabbed his guy to tell me, where did you waterproof around my house? He said, oh, just right here. So anyway, my thing is, I don't want a trail going by. I have enough problems at all trying to straighten out the house. I don't want to look out my front door. And when me and my wife are sitting outside on our balcony, the stairway, looking at a storage area with a bunch of lights. So please don't let this go through. Thank you very much.
Final speaker of the evening. I don't want to. We'll let you go first.
Okay, so I think we've all learned a lot tonight. Well, my name is Claire Taylor. I'm 45 Milana Drive in North. As far as how the system works, we've realized, one, that the planning board has nothing to do with how things are or our problems. I'm not saying that badly. That's not the issue. What you're looking at is a specific request and does it meet the law? Okay. So whether we're having problems with Big Hills or not, that's not their problem. That's our problem. And we need to rally and be in better communication so that we can talk to Big Hills and get some of these things sorted out. Because the planning board's not going to. Okay, they may in the future with what they've heard tonight not approve certain things, but regarding this tonight, they have to vote, they have to decide whether this meets the code. And the reason why I wanted to speak last is because I want to refresh everybody's memory on exactly what Teresa said. Phase 5, where the walking trail is going to be, which is supposed to be part of Mills River Crossing for all residents, is not in Mills River Crossing. And that's stated by your planning manager. Clearly states that. So the solution that you required, which is a walking trail for them to build these 19 homes, is not even in our subdivision or in our development. Okay. Number one issue. Number two, a traffic analysis has not been done per 153009 regarding traffic going in and out and whether the roads that they are stating are going to occur meet that criteria. Okay. And then as one side point, I do want to point out, because someone else said it, in 153010, a letter was supposed to go to all Mills River residents, Mills River Crossing residents regarding this. No letter was given. We were put one sign up at the end of the road where there's 3 houses and apparently another sign on Boylston Highway, which I don't know how anybody's expected to read. And it did not have the date and time of the meeting either. Anyway, thank you very much. We now understand that it's the town council that we really need to be speaking to, and we probably have to do this drill again at the town council if this gets approved tonight, so we can fight it there. Or hopefully they will not approve this tonight based upon those 2 reasons. One, the walking trail is not even in our community. Thank you. Thank you.
I did want to ask, I don't know if there's anyone here from Big Hills that would like to speak in response to any of these comments
Or their legal.
or their legal representative.
Hi, my name is Jesse Swords. I'm a land use attorney with Allen Stahl and Kilborn. And I'm here representing the applicant. We have a member of the design engineering team, and we have a member of the development group. I'm not sure what comments you're asking me to give.
Oh, I was only offering you the opportunity while the public comment period was open.
Okay, I will let Mr. Malachek do most of the talking about the project. I will have a couple of remarks once he's done, but I will leave it to him. Thank you.
I would just ask if before we move on into the item, if we could take like a 5-minute recess.
Completely agree. Should we, I mean, should we move that to 8:30? Yeah. Do we need to make a motion to do that, or
You mean
can we,
8:25?
you want to go with 8:25?
Oh, you want 8:30? Okay, sorry.
Okay. Well, 8:25.
Board's decision.
Okay, I'm hearing 8:25. Do we have to move that, or do we just, can I just adjourn?
Well, we're not adjourning. This would
Not
just be
adjourning. Can I
yeah.
take a recess for 5 minutes? We will, 7 minutes. Let's go. 8:25.
I can't remember his name. He's very active.
But let's try to come back.
I need to grow taller. I want to be a basketball player. This is a good spot. That is. I saw him move. He moved. I can sit here. I can sit here and flick big one at y'all and nobody's seen him. Can you reach me?
And we heard you. And we heard them.
His staff report on that. And then over to you.
Thank you all. Before I go through my staff report, I just wanted to highlight one correction from some information I heard in the public comment. In the town of Mills River, the planning board has the ultimate decision authority on subdivisions. So this item is not going before town council. Now, it is important for you to engage with your elected officials because, again, if the subdivision codes need to be changed to increase our standards or to affect development like this, we all need to let our representatives know of that. But I did want to correct that the planning board's role in this is to approve or deny this subdivision based on its compliance with the codes currently on the books. So this is going to be a little boring because I'm going to read from this, but I want to get all the information right. And since there is quite a bit of history to this subdivision. So going into the history, the Mills River Crossing Phase 4 expansion was first submitted as major subdivision M2107 on December 6, 2021. After multiple reviews and revisions of the plans, the applicant requested the item be brought to the planning board for consideration at the June 7, 2022 meeting. The planning board denied the subdivision at that meeting due to the development plans not complying with all the provisions of the town subdivision ordinance. The developer at that time also submitted a variance request application on June 3rd, 2022, seeking relief from the town's subdivision requirement for pedestrian facilities for subdivisions with 100 or more lots. The developer, Big Hills Construction, submitted a subsequent major subdivision application after the first was denied for Mills River Crossing Phase 4 on July 11th, 2022. The Town Board of Adjustment considered the applicant's request for a variance from the pedestrian facilities requirement on August 9th, and that meeting was continued to August 30th, 2022 for additional consideration and due to a board quorum issue. So at that meeting on August 30th, the Board of Adjustment denied the applicant's request for a variance from the pedestrian facilities requirement, finding the applicant did not meet the hardship requirements for issuing a variance. After that, the developer's attorney, Alan Stahl Kilborn PLLC, filed a petition for writ of certiorari related to the Board of Adjustment variance denial with Henderson County Superior Court on October 14th, 2022, claiming the board's action was arbitrary and capricious and did not follow proper legal procedure. The Henderson County Clerk of Superior Court issued a writ and requested all recordings, documents, and records related to the requested variance from the town of Mills River. The town provided all those materials to the court and no further legal action has been taken on that matter. So it's sitting out there. That's the history. Getting into the background of what we're looking at tonight, the current major subdivision application under consideration, M2201, was submitted July 11th, 2022 for the 17-acre property identified by PIN 9631009730. It's got an approximate address of 61 Boylston Highway. No address currently assigned due to it being vacant land. Obviously, we all know where that is. The proposed subdivision and development plan will add 19 new single-family lots to the existing portion of the Mills River Crossing subdivision on the north side of Boylston Highway. The plans propose an extension of Milana Drive through the vacant Lot 30 of Mills River Crossing Phase 2. The Milana Drive extension will connect to a new road named Brookside Bend Lane, from which all the new proposed lots will have access. The developer will install concrete sidewalks on both sides of the proposed road for Mills River Crossing Phase 4 pedestrian facilities. Additional pedestrian facilities will be provided by the developer on a different property. This is the 35-acre tract on the south side of the highway from the subject property. The proposed walking trail on this property will connect to Mills River Crossing Phase 3, which is Mills River Crossing South on the south side of Boylston Highway. The property with the walking trail also has a zoning permit on file to construct a self-storage development on the same property. Staff reviewed the plans, and the developer's engineers have made multiple revisions to the plans to bring them into compliance with town subdivision development requirements. Staff did complete public notice requirements as required by our code for this major subdivision. We only require the posting of one sign on a property and mailings to adjacent property owners. That's why not everyone received a letter, because we notified just the adjacent property owners to this 17-acre property, and we put 2 signs up. Usually it's one per street frontage. So there's one sign on Milana Drive and one sign where the property abutted Boylston Highway, the larger yellow sign. So we mailed letters to 18 adjacent property owners and the applicant on March 10th of 25 and posted the 2 public notice signs that same day, March 10th. So we did fulfill the public notice requirements, and there's a certificate of mailing in this packet certifying that from our town clerk. So we've heard a little bit about this. What's the process for reviewing these subdivisions in Mills River? So the process includes an extensive review at the staff level. Most of the review is done at the staff level for these subdivisions, and only when staff feel all the plans are in compliance with the town subdivision development requirements is that then brought to the planning board for consideration. And so the planning board's role in this process is to basically provide additional oversight to ensure all of our subdivision code requirements are met, including reviewing the development plan for general conformity with our subdivision development standards, such as site layout, road design, subdivision design, number of lots, lot size, etc. Subdivision approvals are considered ministerial decisions of the town. That's why this does not go before the town council, and the decision is made here by this planning board. And per state law, General Statute 160D 801, and this is a quote, decisions on approval or denial of a preliminary or final subdivision plat may be made only on the basis of standards explicitly set forth in the subdivision or unified development ordinance. So getting into the analysis of the project, and Kevin, if you can scroll down to the overall master plan. So staff thoroughly reviewed the proposed subdivision development against town codes, and we found at this point it is compliant with all the standards as they're written in the subdivision ordinance today. And so I have a summary of each section and how the development meets those requirements. So for roads and right-of-way access, the development plan meets all town subdivision requirements for roads and right-of-way access. The extension of Milana Drive and the new road Brookside Bend Lane are both considered private local subdivision roads to serve 1 to 24 residential lots. And the road construction plans meet the requirements for this road type. The town's subdivision road standards are the same as the North Carolina Department of Transportation standards for subdivision roads. The proposed roads, I said that already, the proposed roads and associated improvements are designed in accordance with NCDOT standards. Lot designs. All proposed residential lots meet the town's minimum lot size of 30,000 square feet, which is about 0.69 acres. The existing lot 30 from Mills River Crossing Phase 2, where the Milana Drive extension will cut through, that lot is proposed as a new common area lot. While the lot will have the Milana Drive extension roadway through it, it is identified on some closer up versions of the plan that there will be a small fenced dog park lawn with seating on that lot 30. Watershed and stormwater compliance. This is just for Mills River Crossing Phase 4. The development plan meets all our requirements regarding watershed and stormwater compliance. We've had multiple revisions with the town's contracted stormwater engineer. And again, we follow state standards for that as well. Because the proposed development is in the water supply watershed area, there are limitations on the amount of new impervious surfaces you can put down on the property and new stormwater runoff. So we have all the required watershed permits and stormwater plans. And again, our contracted engineer has signed off that those meet our ordinance requirements and the state minimum standards. It's hard to see on the plans. You have to zoom into the detailed plans to see them, but there are four separate underground stormwater infiltration systems just in phase 4 to meet the stormwater requirements from being in the water supply watershed area. Sediment and erosion control. For sediment and erosion control, the development plan meets all our subdivision requirements. Sediment erosion control plans were provided, and there was confirmation from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality that those were received and accepted. Water and wastewater. This also meets all town subdivision requirements regarding drinking water and wastewater. Each lot is served by City of Hendersonville Water via an extension of the existing water pipe under Milana Drive. We have a water availability letter from the City of Hendersonville, and then each lot will have its own septic system, and our ordinance requirement states that they have to hire a soil scientist to ensure that those lots will perk, or the subdivision will perk and support those homes. And a soil study was provided showing that the property for Mills River Crossing Phase 4 can support septic systems for homes. Pedestrian facilities. So as it stands, the development plan meets all town subdivision requirements regarding pedestrian facilities for major subdivisions of 100 or more lots. The ordinance, as it states, requires 1 linear foot of sidewalk or walking trail for every linear foot of roadway across all phases of Mills River Crossing. So that we're, again, from the town's perspective, we're not looking at Mills River Crossing North or Mills River Crossing South. We're looking at all of Mills River Crossing. So including the proposed Phase 4 expansion, there are going to be 11,213 linear feet of roadways across all of Mills River Crossing. 2,350 linear feet of pedestrian facilities already exist in Mills River Crossing Phase 2 and 3. This is the existing amenity area in Mills River Crossing South, the circular path, and then the small circular path around the playground in Mills River Crossing North. That makes up that number. So that's 2,350 linear feet of existing facilities. The developer is proposing to construct 2,728 linear feet of concrete sidewalk in Phase 4. So on both sides of this proposed roadway. And then to meet the requirement for 1 linear foot of trail or sidewalk for every linear foot of roadway across all of Mills River Crossing in total, the developer is proposing to construct 7,853 linear feet of unpaved walking trail on the parcel across the highway, the 35-acre tract. This is the parcel that's also proposed to be a self-storage development. There's a zoning permit on file with staff right now where we have plans on file for that development. This parcel and all surrounding areas in this part of town is mixed-use zoning. Mixed-use zoning allows almost any use by right. So the self-storage development, while it's being reviewed for our general development requirements, if it meets those requirements similar to the subdivision, it will be approved because the zoning allows that. So going back to the pedestrian facilities, if you add everything up I just mentioned, this results in 12,931 linear feet of pedestrian facilities across all phases of Mills River Crossing for the 11,213 linear feet of roadway, which exceeds our 1-to-1 requirement. The town does require, the maintenance provisions were provided for the proposed walking trail on the adjacent property, and a draft trail easement was also provided because, again, there was concern about a residential pedestrian facility being on a commercial property and how those would be legally separated. Going into landscaping, the development plan for Mills River Crossing Phase 4 meets all our subdivision requirements for landscaping and buffering. Street plantings are provided, and this is, again, exterior to the development. Street plantings are provided along the frontage where it meets Boylston Highway, so you can see kind of in the green at the bottom of that map, that's going to be the street plantings on Boylston Highway. And then there's going to be an evergreen buffer with evergreen trees and shrubs provided around the border of the proposed subdivision expansion area, again, to protect existing residents from those new homes. And that's the summary of all the specific sections regarding ordinance compliance and the plans. Obviously, happy to dive more into those. Based on our constraints to the ordinance at the staff level as well, again, we have to be objective with every application that comes before us. Staff has found that this has met the subdivision ordinance requirements and recommends approval of M2201 Phase 4 expansion of existing Mills River Crossing by 19 lots. and find that they're in compliance with all our ordinance requirements. And again, happy to dive into any of the attachments in your packet or specifics of the plan or anything I've mentioned already.
You know, I have plenty to say. 1 minute. Can you hear me? Okay. So you know I'm going to have plenty to say, but my first note here is thank you so much for coming out tonight. And those of you that don't know me, I mean that. I've been accused of having a little bit of an agenda, and it's that agenda we just heard. So thank you. My objective, if this board at the end of this 10 or 15 minutes,
I want to first just see if that's what the board would like to do, or if the board wants to stay.
if you let me say this, I would be in favor of this.
Yeah.
At the top of my notes here, I will fight you tooth and nail on making no decisions tonight and tabling this at the end of our short discussion to give these people the opportunity to come 2 Thursdays from now to voice their concerns to town council before we take a vote. You deserve that. And I would ask the board to consider our open dialogue for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we table this so that these people can come talk to town council on the 10th. If you can confirm that, yes, the town staff is confirming. The 10th starts at 6:30. Public comments, just like you had tonight. Sign up when you come in.
Any, Billy? Yeah, we'll take it. I was thinking maybe we'll try to adjourn by 9, but, yeah. Jim, does that sound like a plan that you would be in favor of?
Yes, but I have a few more comments.
Oh, sure. Well, let's first just like see that we're all on the same page, and then we can kind of circle in on people's individual comments, okay?
You're trying to get a consensus.
I just
Then
want to
we
get a
won't table
consensus.
it
Yes,
till the next meeting.
yes.
A decision.
And rather than trying to hash through it all now.
That's true. I would be all in favor of that because I basically see a lot that needs discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing everything they said, pretty much what I would say if I would have say it, they've already said it.
Right.
And I'm certainly in favor of discussing it further, and maybe some of the concerns that's been brought up tonight, Michael might work with the applicant for our next meeting or before town council meetings. Yes.
Yes, I'm in favor.
Everyone? Okay. Yeah, great. Okay, so I open it up to you all to,
Do you mind if I speak real quick?
not yet. I don't think the board's had an opportunity to discuss this yet. So if you would let us continue our discussion. I did invite you to speak earlier. So
And I asked to speak after Mr. Malachek's presentation. You
Okay,
just asked to be heard before the end. I don't have to speak now if you don't want me to.
okay, well, yeah, I think we're in the middle of having the board finally having an opportunity to discuss this. So we're gonna start there. Brian?
Again, I just can't thank everyone enough, and I know you all are going to say that same thing, but we sit up here month after month, year after year, and we beg for turnout, angry or happy. And I'm just really excited to have you guys here. I tried, if you guys noticed, I tried to take notes, but wow, did you guys hit us with a lot. I tried my best. We'll take a couple minutes to say a few things here. And I'm going to drop a name on here. I don't know many of you. I do have, like other members up here, a professional life. We're all volunteers. I think more than a couple of us have clients of different kinds that live in Mills River Crossing. We live here. I think of the 7 of us, 3 are natives and 4 of us are transplants. Our Arizona person, I'm from Montana myself. We came here for a reason too. We hear you guys. Mandy, I'm gonna, if she's still here, I'm gonna drop her name because I made a huge asterisk here because she knew a lot of great stuff that actually stemmed from this board. The creation of rural residential zoning, the proposal unanimously from this board to stop stuff like high density developments, to stop commercial development, to change the mixed use zoning that you heard Mr. Malachek mention a minute ago, where basically anything is allowed. To the gentleman from Arizona, anything is allowed in mixed use, and it is about 73% of this town. And Mandy also knew that the state has passed some laws recently that have hit the pause button and frozen this town's ability to address its zoning. So I want you to be as educated as possible when you go to the town. And I have to stop short of maybe getting frustrated with you because of the role I'm in right here. But I will strongly encourage you to look up, do a little more research on the things I just said. We have created a zoning called rural residential. We have proposed rezoning. Somebody said it starts in your neighborhood and goes south. And the state, and I am probably going to get in trouble for this one, you have 2 representatives, Jennifer Balkum and Tim Moffett. They are currently looking at a local bill that, if it passes, would give some authority back to this town to have the conversation openly that you clearly want to have. That was Jennifer Balkum and Tim Moffett. And I'm going to stop there for tonight.
Thanks, Brian. Jim, do you want to share any more thoughts tonight?
Well, my friend, as usual, he's covered a lot of my points. I will say that I appreciate the audience coming out tonight. This is what we need in Mills River. I've said from day one, I've only been here 17 years. I feel like a native because I originally come from a small town in Georgia, similar to this, a farm town. I watched what happened in that town. And I said from day one, this multi-purpose, 70-something% was it, multi-purpose now with by right be the downfall of this town. We've talked about this and tried to come up with names, but like I said, we're sort of at a standstill right now. So I encourage you, stop with us, do this at council, do this at the county commissioners, get a hold of these state representatives, because right now they have kind of had our hands on a lot of things that we've been discussing for years. I've been on this planning board for 14 years. I was here when it came up before. Same parcel we're talking about tonight. But still, like I said before, a lot of things I still want to discuss farther and maybe get changed. But tonight's not tonight to do that. It'll be the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go in order here. Yeah. So yeah, I'll say a lot of the same things. By right, there's no 7 people in Mills River who are more frustrated than by right. It's the law. Well over a year ago, there was somebody who wanted to be annexed into Mills River, pay additional taxes, I'm sure, right? Well, the reason was because of the Mills River mixed use. You could pretty much do anything. So it was better for them to be annexed into Mills River. So the planning board went to work. And as already noted by a resident of the town and echoed by this board, in short order a year ago, we created the Mills River mixed use, Mills River rural residential. And certainly if it had been acted, and we can only recommend it when it comes to rezoning, as Michael Malachek said, had it been the public hearing and voted on in short order, we wouldn't even be having this discussion tonight, right? For this particular development as far as the number of lots and those sorts of things, commercial, no storage buildings, that sort of thing. That's what's in the rural residential. So we've done what we can. Nobody's more frustrated by right than us. And so, yes, let me remind you that Jennifer Balcom and Tim Moffett, Senate Bill 382, they voted for, which eliminated any local municipality from initiating any downzoning, which is creating larger lots, changing what is allowed in zoning and that sort of thing. And so, you know, this isn't the end of it, right? There are more things on the horizon. It was alluded to tonight, whether it's the Fulham Farm or anything else, but the more time that passes where the state locks us up in our ability as local residents to control and have input and really match what the 2040 future use map says, which is not this, okay? We need to be aware of that, and everybody needs to keep this same energy. And I have a lot of questions for you, Michael, but I'll email them to you, but I'm gonna read them real quick and I'll be done because I want you all to know whether I heard you. One is, and you don't have to answer these, Mike, I'm gonna email these to you for discussion next week, but can these violations, as been described by every single person who came to the podium tonight, can these be taken into considerations when we make our decision on this particular new development? What are the options? What are the residents' options on recourse through the town of Mills River? Obviously, they have their own opportunity for legal recourse. I don't even know what that question was. Does the walking trail meet the requirements because it's outside? Does it meet the requirements as initially presented on the other phases? Are we required to enforce what's been approved by Mills River? Because apparently things haven't been done as they were promised. Is a traffic analysis required? And I think I overheard you. So can we exceed public notice requirements rather than just do the minimum, right? Because we want as much public input as possible, trust me. And then the last question, are we saying that every single lot there has been tested and approved for a septic tank? That would be difficult to fathom. Those are my only questions, and I'll follow up with you, Mike, in an email. So I just wanted you all to know I heard you. It's so important to us. I'm sorry, I'll stop because I could go on till midnight tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank y'all for coming out tonight, and it's good to see you're here and to give input. That gives us sort of some insight on our decisions. I got a question for Michael. To me, this ordinance, and I thought that from the time it was brought up last time, about the sidewalks, to me, this implies along the roadway. I just don't understand how trails in another location could be compared to that. You know, I think that's why this ordinance was adopted to put sidewalks or walking trail along the roadway in front of home. So that's a concern of mine.
I'll address that briefly. Again, I'm bound by the words written in the code, and let me just scroll down to it real quick. But as it says sidewalk or walking trail. And for sidewalk, it then goes and lists a bunch of standards. And for walking trail, it doesn't. And that's really it. It says you have to provide 1 linear foot of sidewalk or walking trail for every linear foot of roadway. And then it goes on and says sidewalks have to be 5 feet in width, have to be next to the roadway. Maintenance provisions have to be recorded. But there's no standards for walking trails. And I can't create those out of thin air and enforce something that's not in the books. So staff worked with the developer when they went through the variance process, got denied. And I think at that time, there was feedback from the developer and some in the community that people didn't want sidewalks because it would rip up everyone's front yards, the impacts from construction. But so basically the developer came back to staff and talked about options forward, and it says sidewalk or walking trail. So that's how the discussion started. And because there's no standards for walking trails in the ordinance, that's not something I can enforce. That's the short answer.
Okay, thanks.
Jenny, one more thing. I meant to mention this before because I know I don't want to get in your way. I will let you know that also that these 5 applications from Big Hills Construction were not submitted to the town of Mills River until after we created the rural residential zone. And we were in the process of presenting that, recommending that to council and so forth. And to hide under the current law, they rushed as quickly as they could before we could enact that and before the state stepped in and submitted their applications for all of these things.
You know, we are working on the UDO thing. Be another 18 months, and that's gonna change a lot of things. If we get this problem with Raleigh cleared up. All that has discussion for the next 18 months with the UDO.
Yes, I've got questions. All right, thank y'all for coming out. So Michael, in the major subdivision, header, does it require that, that any of the trails be consistent, and available by all residents?
No, doesn't state that.
All right, so if the proposed area is not consistent, meaning gated and exclusive to the neighborhood in which it serves, or the subdivision in which it serves, and the rental units, the proposed storage units, are not exclusive to the residents in which they would be a part of the community, would that not make them not part of that community?
I mean, the bad answer is the ordinance does not address that. Now, the self. Excuse me. The self-storage development is separate from what we're considering tonight. That's a zoning permit that's allowed by right under mixed use. If the walking trail connection to Mills River Crossing South, I'll just state this, is an issue, that's something we can explore with the developer. When we were working with the developer on trying to figure out how they could comply with this pedestrian facilities requirement, I'll own up to it. I was the one that suggested it should be connected, because to me, a walking trail on a commercial parcel with no connection to a subdivision did not meet the requirement. But to your question about gates and communities, again, this is where I think there's a difference of opinion in how we look at things from the town's perspective, from the regulatory side versus the residents. With the residents, there's been this clear separation between Mills River Crossing North and South. There's separate HOAs. That's nothing the town's taken into consideration. It's not in our ordinance requirements to look at that. We have to make sure there are restrictive covenants in place and that maintenance provisions are going to be provided for, but that's as far as the ordinance goes in terms of our requirements. Sorry, I just lost my place here.
Sure.
The way the town has always looked at this is that Mills River Crossing is one subdivision. Even though it's split across 280, if you go back to when it was originally submitted, I think the concept came up in 2016, it was one parcel of land. Mills River Crossing North and South was one piece of land that when 280 was installed at one point split. And so the original subdivision, again, was from that. And again, that's why the town considered it all one subdivision, applied the 100 lot standard for pedestrian facilities, and that's what's led to where we are today. And basically for the pedestrian facilities, either sidewalks need to be built next to the roads and it's going to disrupt folks' front yards. They got to be 5 foot wide concrete sidewalks, or there's going to have to be a walking trail somewhere. This board does, and I do not have the authority to waive requirements in our local development laws. Longer answer than you wanted.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, just. Yeah, I just wanted to, just on this point, Jenny, and while we're talking about this specifically, I was wondering in the staff report, it says that the subdivision ordinance doesn't require the pedestrian facility to be located on the same property as the subdivision. So what I'm reading from that is that it's not explicit that those two things need to be in the same place, but is it implied?
I think it's implied because
I mean, is it, if the ordinance, and again, this is probably an issue to be discussed next time, but if the language of the ordinance is that a sidewalk or walking trail is required to be part of a subdivision, even if it doesn't explicitly say that it must be located within the subdivision, it seems to be implied, unless I'm missing something there.
It'd be an interpretation question, but again, it's not explicit.
Okay.
exactly. All right.
Okay,
All
so
right.
go ahead, Jenny, please continue with your questions.
So, that's, also, do we make the town, do we have any ordinance that distincts between like a gated private community and a public?
No.
community? Okay,
Public roads are private roads. We don't take gates into account.
okay. Just figuring out what we need to add to the agenda for some future discussions to nail these down a little bit. Because apparently we need to define a lot of stuff.
Do you have? One other question I had, again, it doesn't need to be answered tonight, but is the property which was phase 5, which now is going to be a storage, or is at least being proposed to be used as a storage development site, is that still considered part of Mills River Crossing? Like, or does that become, will it, if that goes through, is it sort of now distinct from Mills River Crossing?
So in the original submission, when the subdivision was originally submitted and then got denied by the planning board, there was a phasing exhibit, and I think I shared it with some members of the public that asked for it, that identified that 35-acre parcel on the south side of Highway as phase 5. But then as the town worked with the developer and said, we need your soil study, seeing if this land perks, when that was done, I believe it was because a very high water table on that property, septic systems would not function there. So it basically became unsuitable for residential development, and the developer removed that phase from Mills River Crossing. And so in your packet, there's a new phasing exhibit that basically leaves it out.
Right, so that property where the walking trail is proposed to be is not part of Mills River Crossing.
Not currently.
And
Not as it's
it
proposed.
Is not in the future at this point planned to be.
Correct.
It is like, it could be a completely independently purchased property, and, you could put a gas station there, or you could put but it is not, it is not part of the land,
Yes.
which is defined
That's right.
as Mills, the subdivision of Mills River Crossing. That parcel is not part of.
Correct. Both these parcels, the phase 4 and 5, were purchased separately. They might have even been subdivided at one point, exempt subdivision. And then again, the developer moved forward with pursuing development options for those properties. And again, this is what we have before us.
And sorry, same line of questions though. So the staff report mentions that the proposed walking trail is meant to connect Mills River Crossing phase 3 on the south side. So it's meant to have a connection between the Mills River South and that property, but there's not any intended connection between Mills River South and Mills River North.
No, and that's where the difficulty lies, where the town considers this one subdivision and the pedestrian requirements need to be provided somewhere. We're not looking at the north versus the south side.
Okay.
Michael, can I ask how the town, I know you said it used to be one parcel, the Britain, obviously. When the state took that over, they took over in fee simple, full ownage.
280.
When they moved 280, that was fee simple. That was not an easement across somebody's property.
Correct.
They own that. So did it not create a second parcel number for the north or the south? I believe it was the south that was changed.
I'd have to look back.
Two parcel numbers
I'd
at the
have to
time
look
of.
at the original plat.
So if there are two at the time of the master plan submission back then, wouldn't there be an argument that neither is independently meeting the 100 home threshold? And this
That,
whole,
I mean, staff's interpretation all along has been that that it's considered one and it's 100.
Okay.
So to be objective and consistent, I would stick with that.
yeah, I'm just trying to ask this group, is that if I were a resident over there, I would tell you, scrap that walking trail. I don't want the liability, the cost, or any of that crap. Knowing that it's mixed use, and by right, you could have a gas station, a brewery, you could have anything but an adult store and a hazardous material place. It could be anything. I'm sorry? The nuclear waste stuff, yes, it's anything but those. A lot of conversations to have there. This town, for those, me included, who were not born here, this is a young town, extremely young town. It doesn't have what it needs. I'm going to ask Mr. Malachek to give you a little bit more information. He's already given it to you once, and then Chair, I will shut up, I promise. But the town is currently spending $200,000 of your money, my money, every one of us is a resident of this town, to create what's called a UDO, which is a Uniform Development Ordinance. It means it's going to take the hodgepodge of copies and paste that we've had for our 20 years of existence, and it's going to put it all in one place, and nothing can contradict here what is said here, which we have a plethora of contradictions in our current anything but uniform code. Mr. Malachek, if you don't mind, if the chair is okay with it, can you please tell our residents again where they can right now actively contribute to the UDO? If you don't mind.
Go, the website is imaginemillsriver.com. And you can enter your email and sign up for updates as the project progresses. You can receive those updates via email. There's also a section on it on the town website, millsriver.org. Go to the planning page. But again, the project website is imaginemillsriver.com.
And if that's not on the site, Mr. Malachek, can you tell them when our next open house is, where they can come here and do what you know I've already done?
Not scheduled yet.
It's not scheduled yet. So there will
But
be
if you sign up for updates, you will get an email about it.
Perfect. So if you sign up for updates, you will get an email for what I just referenced, which is the company that's being paid that $200,000 is going to stand here all day long for 2 days last time and listen to you. They are going to have I think we had 7, 8, 9 stations, 10 stations, and they all had a lot of different questions, and it was all public input driven. And I think 14 of us showed up in 2 days. And half of them right here. So that's my challenge to our angry crowd that I love.
Right. I tried to do it twice.
Yeah. One short additional comment. You all know, I'm all for audience participation. And I'm glad to see everybody here. I'd like to see this place filled up every time. But I got one question from Michael. I think you were here when Mills River Crossing first proposed, right?
It was 2017, 2018.
Okay, well, anyway, you were here when we were discussing phase 3, right?
That was 2020. I came
Well,
here.
if I'm not mistaken, and you might check it out. If I'm not mistaken, I think phase 3 was supposed to have sidewalks, and I'm all for sidewalks. I think that was discussed last time we discussed phase 4. But they still don't have sidewalks in phase 3. I was right through that today, as a matter of fact. There's no sidewalk. And I believe it was supposed to have sidewalk. But anyway, I'll just leave that right now. We're going to discuss this some more.
Yeah, so Jesse, I appreciate your patience. I think that as a board, we are, and our staff, I think we're at the end of our line, so I appreciate that you wanted an opportunity to speak.
I have a letter to hand up, if you
That
don't
would be
mind.
great. Yeah, thank you. I think that you've probably had an opportunity to hear the concerns of our residents, some of the concerns raised by the board, and perhaps we can reconsider this next time.
It will be made public with our minutes, but right now it's for the board.
So if you have a few words that you'd like to kind of summarize or react to, I appreciate that. But if you would like to make any sort of extensive comments or respond to any of the issues at length, I think that needs to be tabled to another time, just because it's too late for the rest of us.
Sure. Just a couple of corrections to some statements I heard just in the last 10 minutes or so. I want to make sure y'all understand that the land use regulations that apply to this subdivision application are the ones that were in effect when it was submitted in 2022. No changes that the town or the state can do at this point will change this board's responsibility because the land use regulations that apply are set. I also want to just remind everyone that about the sidewalk issue and the walking trail interpretation. North Carolina courts will not construe a land use regulation to imply something that is not in its express terms. Mr. Malachek read from the statute at the beginning of the meeting that you are not allowed to make a decision based on anything but what's explicitly in the ordinance. To the extent the walking trail isn't addressed, it is something that I'm sure will be addressed in the upcoming UDO rewrite. And I hope that UDO rewrite ends up reflecting all the values and policies of the town of Mills River. And my even greater hope is that it provides clear guidance to people who are applying for applications and to the town in approving and denying them.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make
Make a motion.
I need the first motion. I would like to make a motion to, there is one thing I would like to say before we table the motion. In case anyone was wondering, it is Jesse Swords at Allen Stall in Kilbourne. In case you have questions for Big Hills, he's available. With that, shall we table this issue?
I'll say,
Okay, we gotta do one thing at a time. Table this issue until the next meeting, which will be the first Tuesday in May. Okay. Aye. All ayes. Now would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
make a motion.
There are none. One at least. Did we get that? I think we needed that. Okay, we have a first.
Then I will
I'll
second.